can write a very beautiful will. But if your son is not there, and there's no very good reason why he's not there, if your wife, who you have been living with, who has been taking care of you even in your sickness, is not in that will, but your house help is in your will, your lawyer is in your will, everyone else, and I'm not saying there's any error in any of those people being in the will, but everyone else is in the will except your wife and children, it would raise questions as to your sanity of mind at the time of making the will. And so simply your children and your wife will come with that will to court, and they will say, this person might have been suffering from an insane delusion, but they will not only say, it has to be proven. It has to be proven. That is number one. So you must have age. Age must be 18 and above. If you're under 18, you cannot write a will. Number two, you must have sanity of mind. Number three, you must be aware. It's called knowledge and approval. You must know what you're doing and you must approve what you're doing. And then after you write the will, there's no particular format in how you write the will. You can write the will in any way you want. You could write the will as a letter to your lawyer. You could write the will as a letter to your best friend. Dear, who is my best friend? Dear Mary. I do not want to disclose my best friend. Dear Mary. And I write, I have this and this and this and this and this. And you say, this is what I would want to happen with regard to my property upon my death. You could write it there. But there's something very important I want us to note. Number one, the person who writes the will must sign the will. And the lawyers who are here, before you fault me, then I will insist on signature. I know when we go back to our law books and cases, you will talk about thumbprint, you will talk about so many other things that a signature doesn't necessarily have to be a signature. But I know we are talking to people here who have signatures. So if you decide to write a will today, at the very end, you have to make sure that you sign that will. Signing it alone is not enough. As you sign that will, it must be witnessed by two independent witnesses. When I say independent witnesses, or when the law talks about independent witnesses, it means these people who are witnessing are not provided for in your will. So if I write a will and I sign that will, and I provided for my wife, Mary, and my son, James, they cannot be witnesses to my signing. Because even if they witness, it might be challenged. So when we talk about independent witnesses, the general position is that these independent witnesses, they're independent because they are not benefiting under that will. But sometimes the question will be, what if I want someone who is benefiting under the will still to witness? It is fine. Someone who is benefiting under your will can still witness. But even as a witness, their witnessing should be witnessed by another two independent witnesses. And that is very important. It is like the most important thing in writing a will. No one will care about how the will looks like. You can even write your will on a tissue paper. You can even give an oral will. And an oral will is another discussion altogether. Angie, time has gone so fast, I don't even know what has happened, but it's fine. I'm stopping in like 2.
I'll add you 5 more minutes.
Thank you. That's very gracious of you. Yeah. And thank you so much, Angie. So no one really cares where you write that will. You could write that will on your wall if you want to. But you need to, at the time of signing, you must have 2 people who see you sign. And if they are not both there, one could see you sign, and then as you go to the other one, they see you sign. And for us to know that they saw you sign, they also have to sign. And they cannot sign above your signature. They have to sign after your signature. In that, I'll come and tell you, I'll just use a name that we have here. I'll come and tell Lulu Kamau. Hi, Lulu. This is, I don't even need to tell her it's my will, but I tell her, you see the signature here? It's my signature. I'm the one who appended this signature here. Or it could be then you are not in a position to append, then you allowed someone else to append the signature. So say, this is my sister's signature. I'd seen my sister here. I think she's here. So this is my sister. This is Erica's signature. She's my sister. And I couldn't sign. So Erica signed, but she signed with my permission. So as long as you confirm to that person that that is your signature, or a signature by someone that you have authorized to sign, then they sign after that signature. Okay, so it's either you sign as they see you and then they sign. That is number one. So I sign and then you see me sign as I sign, and then you sign as well. I hope it's not a tongue twister. Number two, I could sign on my own, but then I come and tell you, it's me who signed here. So kindly sign under here to confirm that I'm the one who signed. You don't need to tell them that it's your will and what you have written there. No, the issue is the signature. Alternatively, you could have both of them stand there and you sign, and then one signs and the other one signs. And remember, if the person is benefiting in your will, for example, if Erica, my sister, is benefiting in my will, she can still sign as a witness, but her signature will need two other independent witnesses who are not benefiting under that will. So if I sign and then Erica signs and she's benefiting, and I have Karl Marx Ochola, who is also my brother and is benefiting, and they are both under the will, that will be challenged in court, and the court will say the will is not valid for lack of proper witnessing. So that is very, 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 very important. And of course, I have 2 minutes left. I'll start the discussion on the importance of a will, the advantages, just mention a few, and then I stop. Actually have 1 minute now, and then now the rest can come through questions. One of the main reasons why we encourage people to write wills is that you're still able to maintain control over your property. You still maintain control over your property. Yeah, and that makes it easier for those that you have left. It's so hard to mourn a loved one. It's so hard to lose your loved one. And so it's even harder then when now people are coming from everywhere saying, oh, I'm his wife, oh, I'm his this, I'm her this. And so they are claiming that they are entitled to property. Because if your will is very clear, that is important. Also, through your will, you're able to make known property that others might not have known. You know, maybe when I was studying at Harvard University, I was able to open a bank account where I've been throwing my savings. And it's a discussion I've never really had with my wife. Yeah, or she doesn't know where the documents for that bank account are. But if I write it in my will, then that is a good starting point. You understand? So it's very important. And most importantly then, in a will, you're able to provide for people who are dear to you. I can provide for my boss. I can see my former boss, Margaret, is here. Thank you, Margaret. It's really good to see you here. You can find, I can provide for my former boss, who was very nice to me. I can provide for her in that will. I can provide for my best friend. I can provide for my lawyer, Angela. But if I die without a will, it is only my family that will benefit from my property. No matter how much property I have, if I die without a will, it's only my family, and it is express family. There's a very clear law. For those who I was referring to that law, you can read section 40. It's very clear on who can benefit. And if you're not among them, it goes to the state. We say in bona vacantia. If none of those people are there, if I do not have family and I have all the best friends in the world, the property will go to Kenya. And you know what then they will do with it. Angela, I will finish there. Now we can, I think, invite questions so that the audience also participates. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Claude. That was a very interesting discussion there. So I'll invite questions and maybe I can start. Maybe you could tell us more about now the opposite of now, if people don't write a will now, what happens, the intestacy provisions, what usually happens, and yeah, just talk about the intestacy provisions and what the law says and the procedure. Thank you. And after that, we'll have Mbugua Rosemary, you can speak. I see your hand is up. So he can take the questions and then he'll answer them. So I've asked about intestacy. Mbugua Rosemary, please unmute and ask your question.
Thank you, Angela. I'm Mbugua Rosemary. I'm currently a student at the Kenya School of Law, and I'm also a legal writer. So I just wanted to shed some light on the people who are being provided for in the will acting as witnesses. So as competent witnesses, a competent witness is a person who the age, or who has the age of the majority, that is 18 and above. And the Law of Succession Act allows competent people to be witnesses. And therefore that means as long as a beneficiary is above the age of 18, he or she is a competent witness. Now, the bone of contention comes in as they are witnesses and also beneficiaries. To draw the line, what will fail is the bequest and not the whole will that is going to be invalidated. So their bequest will fail, not unless two more competent and independent witnesses attest to the will. Yes, thank you.
Thank you for that addition, Rosemary. Anyone with a question to Wakili Claude? Anyone with any other question before he responds? It's now 8:48. We still have time. Anyone with a question, kindly raise your hand and then unmute. So as we wait for others, Wakili, maybe you can answer that question on intestacy. What happens if someone dies without a will? Thank you.
Thank you, Angela, and thank you for the addition. I don't know, the name was on my head now, it has disappeared, by the colleague from Kenya School of Law who has made that clarification. Thank you very much. And just as I go to Angela's then, just for purposes of those who might not understand, then when you provide in a will, everything you provide for in a will is called a bequest, each individual provision. So my black pen to Angela, that is a bequest. My phone to Erica, my car to Erica, that is a bequest. And that is why then she comes and clarifies that if then it was not properly, it was not, there was no additional two witnesses, that bequest to Erica is the one that will fail. So the will remains valid, but that one that I was to provide for Erica then will fail. But then we establish that eventually then there's something then called suspicious circumstances, which is totally different and which then might invalidate the whole will, but we won't go into that. So when someone dies without a will, the procedure is usually referred to as intestacy. So it means you have died without a will. So you have died without leaving instructions, without leaving guidance, without expressing what you would wish to happen with regard to your property upon your death. It then means that this is a matter then which will be determined as per the provisions of the law. It is the law that applies. And so as we talk about the law applying, then we're talking about the Law of Succession Act, and there are provisions then within that particular law, I think all the way from section 32, and it's called the intestacy. And so you would find, for instance, then if you own land, for instance, in certain communities of pastoral nature, yeah, then that land would devolve as per the customs of that community. That is just important to note. But then when you come to who would be entitled, I think that is important, because I mean, in our lives we have people who really and lawyers, and that's what I'm saying, I'm not discussing this from the really legal point of view, the practical point of view. In our lives we have people who have been good to us, we have people who have helped us get where we've gotten to, we have people who have treated us very well. And so when you get somewhere, the people you feel you want to reward, the people you would want to appreciate. You might even want, for instance, to leave the world a better place by giving some of your